Hi guys. Today's video is going to be called A Testimony to Shadow Work. And let me explain that to you. This morning when I woke up, I did what most people usually do. I checked my phone updates, I checked my, email, I checked all that stuff, and I checked my Facebook. And the thing I saw, and the first thing I got on Facebook and saw was a video. And this video had been shared by somebody in the Facebook group. And I feel like these Facebook groups give me a lot of things to talk about. But it had been shared by somebody in one of these Facebook groups. And the caption above it was like, fuck the Bible and that Jesus shit. And the video was of a young man who might have been a rapper or been an activist or something like that. And he was talking about how his family, 3 generations of his family, had believed in Jesus and died waiting for Jesus. And how Jesus is bullshit, how Allah is bullshit, how the Jewish faith is bullshit. It's all bullshit. Because if there's any true God, the God comes with him. So, this is one of those things that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's one of those things that I watch to the end because, even though you might not agree with everything he says, you might agree with some things. And he did say some things that I did agree with. But the thing that made me make this video, A Testimony to Shadow Work, is that, what I see in a lot of these groups is that there are people who aren't black who are interested in learning the practices of hoodoo and root work, and they join these Facebook groups. And mostly I'm speaking about white people here because this is where it gets very specified. There are angry black people who are calling themselves conscious and, saying that they've been awakened. And then they go completely left-handed from that. They start to say, fuck God, fuck white people, fuck America, fuck this, fuck that, fuck. First of all, excuse my language. Second of all, this video is called A Testimony to Shadow Work because I was once an angry black person and now I'm not. And, you might say, how is that you aren't angry? Or you might say, why is that you're not angry? And, I can't really explain the hows and the whys, but I've come to a peace. I've come to a peace about a lot of things. The one thing that I've come to a peace to is, white people, not all white people are racist. Not all white people are bad people. That's something that I've come to a peace to, I can't be mad at, the whole of white people for the actions of a few. And we want the same thing as black people. We don't want all white people to think of us as thugs or criminals just because a few other black people went out and did some thuggish criminal things. So that's something I've come to a peace about. But this video is really about coming to a peace with Christianity. Because a lot of black people, and I've had this discussion with several black people about how the Bible has nothing to do with hoodoo. The Bible has something to do with hoodoo. It has a lot to do with hoodoo, but that's not a discussion for right here, right now. The discussion is that, why are you so mad? Why? Why are you mad? We live in a society that we've been downtrodden on, oppressed. We've been kept from the very best and given the very worst. We've been told that we're not beautiful. We've been told that we're not smart. We've been told that we won't prosper. And it's only when you get into your older years and this really starts to affect your life that you get mad. And then you don't want to change it. You just want to be mad about it and yell about it on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube or, you want to pick up a dashiki and you want to go out and you want to, yell about it on the street corners, but you don't want to do anything to enrich your community in order to make the situation better. Why are you mad? You can't be mad if you don't put your good foot forward and then try to, go into the community and change these things, And you can say you're spiritually awakened as much as you want, but preaching hate against another spiritual practice that was used to oppress us is not how you tell people you're spiritually awoke. Now, the reason I say oppress us is because black people were practicing Christianity before white people even knew what Christianity, just speaking, black people, Africans were practicing Christianity, and then it spread and it eventually got over to the Black Sea area, and it became a very big thing in Rome and in Italy and Rome, and the Greek islands. And then Constantine, he had a freedom of religion state, and then he decided to make it an all-Christian state, which threw his country into war and whoop-de-whoop-blah. That's not important. What is important is that black people were practicing Christianity before it was even introduced to what is now Europe. What would have been back then just Rome, because Europe was not a whole thing. I mean, while they did own a large part of what we now consider Europe, Rome, not the same thing. Anyway, so it was an African text that was introduced to those people through the Egyptians, through their trades and their conquering of the Moors, because they did conquer the Moors, as proven by the Gorgon, then goddess, Medusa, who was a fertility goddess of the Moors. They had taken sciences, spiritual practices, which included their paganisms and their Christianities, and other things like that, and they had defiled, mistold stories, and they had rewrote stories. And if you really want to ask me the truth about it, I feel like Romans wrote themselves into the Bible. But, that's just another discussion for another time. Because do I believe that Jesus was crucified? I don't really think he was crucified as much as he ascended into heaven, and the Romans got a hold of the text and they were like, that doesn't make sense. You can't just go into heaven. You have to die and descend into hell for 3 days and do all of this other stuff before you get to become a god. So they kept some of their paganistic ideas and worked it into the Bible. But that's discussion for another time. Again, the point I'm trying to make here, what I'm trying to say here is that, black people call it brainwashing to be in love with Christ and the Christian religion. And, I call it being brainwashed to hate it, because it is a black people religion. It originated in Africa. It's an African text. So if you, therefore don't want to at least study the religion and its origins and its practices, because if you study the Old Testament and compare that to some West African cultures in terms of sacrifice and religious sacrifice, they are very similar. So when you as a black person say that you don't believe in Christianity, you don't believe in the Bible, that to me says that you've been brainwashed by a group of people to not be empowered by knowledge. You just 100% said, I'm done with it. Now, are there things in the Bible that, sound fictitious? Yeah, but there are things in all cultures that sound fictitious that people hold to be very spiritual, very true lore. For example, Oya was a woman who could turn into a water buffalo. Nobody found that to be suspicious. Nobody thinks that that's, strange. Jesus could walk on water. Yeah, that's not normal. That's like, you know what I'm saying? It's not normal. And I'm just saying there are things in the Bible that are fictitious, that aren't real, but I don't have to believe everything in the Bible to believe in the power of the Spirit, and to believe in the power of God, and to believe in the power of a Christ body. Now, a Christ body is an anointed person or an anointed figure. You could be a Christ body. There could be 100 Christ bodies on the face of the earth at one time. You know, Horus was seen as a Christ body. Buddha is seen as a Christ body. Jesus is seen as a Christ body. Therefore, his name is Jesus Christ, which is not his name. It's, you know, Jesus is his name and Christ is his title. But those are all things to think about. So, now for the actual testimony of shadow work. I used to hate the Bible. I used to be mad at the Bible. I used to be mad at Christianity. I used to be mad at, you know, Jesus and at God and the Holy Spirit for allowing me to be enslaved, brought over, and still to this day persecuted for the color of my skin, for the way that I look, for the type of hair that I have, for, you know, for all the things that make me black. And then I really started to work on it, and I really started to look at it, and I really started to pray about it. And when I say pray about it, I wasn't praying to Jesus. I was praying to Sekhmet, goddess of war. You guys know I love Sekhmet if you've watched any of my earlier videos. I prayed about it really heavily, and I was like, what am I, like, I feel like I've abandoned something. And I did abandon something. I abandoned the ways of my ancestors because, like we just said, Africans practiced Christianity before white people, before, you know, before Romans even knew what Christianity was. They were still worshiping Zeus and, you know, the Olympians, and then their minor pagan gods and goddesses, while we already had Christianity and paganism at the same time, because Orisha worship is technically paganism if you want to use the biblical definition. So that is just something to think about. You know, you're mad at this religion, but for a long time your ancestors not only believed in the power of Jesus, they prayed to Jesus, and they received the blessings of Jesus, but you're still mad at the religion. I don't understand that. That's like, you know, that's the same thing as when we see people that, you know, that call voodoo or Ifa, you know, devil worship. But for a long time, you probably had ancestors that practiced it, believed it, and received the blessings from it. So what I'm saying to you guys is that don't just hate Christianity because you feel like it was used to suppress you or was used to oppress you. You know, hate it for a reason, research it, study it, and then hate it for another reason. And don't hate it because everybody else says that it's BS and that it's evil and that, you know, God isn't coming back for any of us because he doesn't care. Don't do that. What I'm saying is research it. Build your own opinion of the religion. You know, research the history of the religion, because there is a history to it that goes past Roman Catholic Church, that goes past, you know, the conversion of slaves, past the Roman Catholic Church, and it can be traced into Egypt, you know, where, you know, it was practiced. Christianity as well as Judaism was practiced, and it can even be traced farther back than that. So I do want to say, that, you know, the Bible is important to hoodoo, and if that's what you, that's my opinion. If you ask me, there will be a lot of people that say, no, you don't need the Bible, and that's those people's opinion. But I just wanted to give a testimony. I'm so tired of seeing mad black people down other people's religion and call that being spiritually awake. And by no means am I saying to put down your, you know, your protest signs and pick up an India RE album and, sit in silence and reserve. But what I'm saying is that downing one religion doesn't make you more spiritually awake. It makes you as ignorant as they want you to be. That it makes you look as, foolish as they want you to look. And I guess I just want to leave you guys with a little bit of love, a little bit of light, a little bit of prayer on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching this video, and Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.